What's going on, everybody? Today's video is specifically about the McCulloch 1385 Deluxe Canister Steamer. I'm going to go over the issues I've had with them and what I've done to get them working properly. There's about 3 issues I'm going to go over that should help you hopefully get them back in service. So stay tuned. Hopefully this helped you out. Now we'll start with this one. I just got done fixing it. I'm going to show you what I did. The issue was you pulled the trigger, you wouldn't get any steam. The gauge would be midway, so it did have pressure. If you open this up, there was pressure inside, but we just weren't getting any pressure out of the gun. So what I did, I'll show the video here on the screen. I removed all these screws. There's some on both sides, there's some down here. I'm missing some. And then this will pop open, just like this. I don't have any screws in it at the moment. I just got done putting it back together. So here you go, pops open. Here is your pressure regulator. This hose runs up. Do not take this apart, by the way, when it's hot. When this is pressurized, it's a bad idea. Make sure this cap is off and you have all the pressure out, because these hoses can pop off and spray you in the face. So here's your inside of the gun. If your gun's not spraying, the most common issue is going to be inside of this regulator. And as you can see, this hose, you just squeeze this with some pliers, pop that hose off, pop this hose off, and you'll have the regulator separated. What I did was blow through with an air compressor. You'll want to be gentle because there is a gasket inside, so you don't want to use too much pressure. Usually the problem is calcium in here. You want to clean it the most gentle way possible, maybe low PSI with an air compressor. But if you're blowing air in there, make sure you hold down this button so that when you blow air, it can actually go through without blowing out the seals. Don't drop it like I just did. One way to test this steamer to make sure to find really where the plug is. So if you're not sure if this is what's plugged, what you would do is turn this on, let it start to pressurize, and if you hit this button, nothing happens. But if you pop this hose off and it sprays everywhere like crazy, this is the pressure stopping somewhere in here. Here we are. This is a different unit. This unit has only had one problem so far, and I'll go ahead and show you what the problem was that I had with this one. So for this one, the unit would not get hot at all. This gauge would not move. You'd plug it in, nothing would happen. You wouldn't get any pressure at the gun. The gauge didn't move. So the first thing I noticed, the switch wasn't lighting up. There's a toggle switch, which as you can see has been removed. We have just bare wires sticking out here, and I'll show you what I did to get the unit to work. Instead of replacing the switch, I just hardwired the unit, so now when you plug it in, it starts warming up. There's no power switch to turn it on and off. You just unplug it, and that's the only way to turn it off. That is a temporary fix. If you'd want it unplugged, so if you touch anything behind, it doesn't shock you. You go like this, pry it out. And look, 2 red wires right there. Those are the 2 red wires. See this toggle switch? If your light's not coming on, then there's a good chance one of these back here is burned up. For some reason, they have an issue where one of these will just melt. So you'll take these 2 red wires and just connect them directly to each other, throw the toggle switch away, and you're good to go. You plug it in, it'll go up to temperature. It won't overheat. I've used it like this for at least a week now. The third issue that I had with these McCulloch steamers is going to be it constantly leaking. You'd let off the trigger, but it would still spray and wouldn't stop. The issue turned out to be inside the check valve, which I showed you guys earlier. I'll show you a video of how I found that. Here is the assembly. I pulled these 2 screws out the top, as you can see. So those are gone. And then this pops off. This is the button that presses when you hit the trigger. And inside is a spring. I found the issue was this small gasket that's supposed to stay on the bottom of the plunger was actually plugging the hole and getting stuck. So the plunger, when you let off the trigger, the plunger couldn't go back in all the way. It had a chunk of gasket stuck inside. So that's why I was getting a leaky steamer. I found a bad gasket inside of the valve, and that was causing it to just hold open constantly and leak. I did remove the gasket, so now there's no gasket in here. It does leak slightly, but it's still operable. I haven't used it much, just enough to test it, but I think, you know, it wouldn't leak enough to cause any issues. You'd still be able to steam a car and not worry about it.